think the percentage of black lacrosse players is so low?
I think it has to do with the initial cost of getting involved with the sport, and everything's very expensive. So you have that combined with there not being necessarily the black role models in the sport. There's a couple of guys in recent years, but overall, you don't have a Michael Jordan that's really pushing it and driving it. In the more affluent communities and the less affluent communities, I think it remains an economic issue.
How many black people played lacrosse at your high school or high schools that you've coached at?
At my high school, on my team, none. In college, none. I've coached a number of African American players, most notably Roger Ferguson, who's a junior at Brown and all that.
What kind of people play lacrosse? Do you think it's primarily a white sport?
Are you talking about social economic or like personality? Or?
Just people that you usually come in contact with through playing lacrosse.
It's typically my experience has been that it's more of it's still a fringe sport. It's not necessarily, it doesn't attract like the same type of student athlete that football does, or baseball, or even basketball. It's a hockey kid, it's the soccer kid, it's the lacrosse kid, it's all the second tier sports. And traditionally you've seen less athletic people play these sports in the United States. Your better athletes are drawn to football, basketball, and baseball. In the recent years, you've seen better athletes and from a more diverse group of people start playing lacrosse, just as you start to see more diverse groups play hockey in recent years.
Do you think poor media coverage has something to do with the lack of black athletes?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Playing lacrosse?
I mean, the way that lacrosse is covered is almost a joke. It's a niche. You have to search for it. Anytime that they televise a game, it's typically when the bulk of people that want to watch the game have a game themselves or are in practice. If they really wanted to grow the sport in terms of ratings and so forth, they would have more primetime games, more 7:30 Tuesday night games. Especially now, basketball season's over, so the college sports fan is relegated to watching baseball. Now's a prime time for us to explode, but ESPN's not on board with it, so there's not much we can do.
Pretty much. Alright. Why do you think the percentage of black lacrosse players is so low?
Well, actually it's not very popular in the urban communities. Not a lot of schools offer lacrosse teams in communities predominantly black or just majority black schools. So that's probably why they're not really interested in it and never really heard of it. I mean, I'm sure they probably watch on TV sometimes, but what is that? But if that's the only case, football and basketball is really the only acceptable sports that black people usually play in my respect.
Did your high school have a lacrosse team?
No.
No?
You just told me what lacrosse was. I didn't know. I dated a guy, but not him. Oh, should I say that? Oh, I don't know.
How you doing?
Why do you think the percentage of black lacrosse players is so low?
I think it has a lot to do with lacrosse being a more northern-based sport, and just with the fact that my father didn't play lacrosse. He played basketball, and he taught me basketball, and I think it's culture-based and white people. So I don't know.
Did your high school have a lacrosse team?
No, not at all. I don't even think there was a league down here for like high school 4A or anything like that. I went to a bigger high school, and I mean, we had a big population of white kids and black kids, and it was a big mix, but we didn't have a team at all, and I don't think there was a league in our area.
How would you describe the typical lacrosse player?
Chill. Definitely chill.
Do you think that the lack of black athletes that play professional lacrosse and college lacrosse has something to do with black athletes being less interested in sport?
I don't know about that. I mean, I like to consider myself an athlete and I want to learn. So, I don't know. I think I'm pretty interested in it. But, I think over time it'll change, you know, just like a lot of other sports. It'll get more integrated, so who knows.
Do you think poor media coverage of lacrosse also has something to do with the lack of interest in black athletes?
Definitely. It's not very often you turn on ESPN and you see a lacrosse game or anything like that, you know. It's always one of the bigger sports in America. And I don't know, I'll keep it on TV if it comes on, so maybe that is a big factor. I don't know.
Cool. Well, thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
So, why do you think the percentage of black lacrosse players are so low?
Why do I think they're so low? Because they play other sports like basketball and football.
What kind of people do you associate with lacrosse? Like types?
Bros.
Do you think that the lack of black role models who play lacrosse adds to the low percentage?
I mean, yeah, because, you know, most black people, or most popular black athletes are basketball players and football players.
Do you think that because the media coverage isn't as popular as other sports, that also has something to do with it?
Well, I think that has to do with the percentage. There's not that many people who play lacrosse in general. So,
That's good.
Where are you from?
Orangeburg, South Carolina.
South Carolina? Yeah. Why do you think the percentage of black lacrosse players is so low?
Probably because most black children, they're not exposed to lacrosse. One thing they're brought up on is football, basketball, baseball.
Did you have a lacrosse team at your high school? No. How would you describe the typical lacrosse player?
As far as what, like body stature, or
It's just like a typical person. Like, how would you?
Honestly, I don't know. I don't
You don't know a lot of lacrosse players? True. Do you think poor media coverage of lacrosse has something to do with the lack of interest in black athletes?
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
all right, thanks.